Good evening, Aegis. So, if you've never been to a stand-up show before, I love to hear laugh motion, chuckle motion, cheer motion, whatever. Some light heckling. But we don't want to clog up the chat with a bunch of notifications, so if you will kindly silence your emote notifications before the show, that would be great. I believe we are streaming tonight. Hopefully someone will have a link to share. If you are hearing me, you found that link. Or, I can pop it up in the chat so you don't have to read this huge wall of text. I am gonna have live over here on the stream though, so this is where the best experience is anyway. This is exciting. I mean, people have never been able to hear me before. And because it's such a momentous occasion, I am gonna record this show for my YouTube channel. It's kinda weird that there's no Final Fantasy content on there, so about damn time. So, my name is Captain Mailia Romero Bloodpaw, and I have not been on a stage for the last 2 years. I've got a good excuse though. I've been happily married. You see, half of my old act was making fun of my dysfunctional relationships. I just realized those divorces may have been my fault, after all. My first wife, you see, was a tank main. And my problem with her was that I never knew what my stance was. Was she trying to be helpful or just trying to provoke? I don't know. I admit, I got a little jealous sometimes. Anytime we went out, she'd just hold all the attention. Second wife made me feel like a slut. She was a Fantasia addict, and I was always waking up next to different people. At her last Fantasia Addicts Anonymous meeting, the counselor was visibly annoyed. She says, "I see we have some new faces this week." For a while there, I had 2 wives. There was a lot of jokes in my old FC that I was starting a harem. I even had one friend that offered to manage it. It's funny to me how quickly that offer came off the table when she became my girlfriend, though. In hindsight, I think a harem is one of those ideas that looks better on paper. I swear, I was just reading the articles. So, I have been happily married to that very nerd for the last 2 years. If you can, bag yourself a nerd. Aside from the free tech support, there's a big bonus to being with someone that knows this world. Final Fantasy. You guys remember that early GPS doodad TomTom? I have an Anya. It's even more fun to say. But yeah, marry a nerd. It's great. I learn stuff all the time. Just the other day, she was telling me that the theme song for Mortal Kombat was inspired by a Scandinavian church song. True story. It was a Finnish hymn. I was on my way to Orm Vale one time with some friends, and we stopped at a tavern. One of my friends, another Miko, had brand new glams, looked fabulous. So he orders like 5 drinks and just shotguns them, just throws them back. The barkeep is visibly concerned. You must have some problems, son, drinking like that. My friend looks at the barkeep and says, if you had my problems, you'd drink fast too. The barkeep was sympathetic. I asked, well, what do you got? My friend says, 50 gil, and just passes out. Wham! The rest of us get up to leave, and the barkeep says, oi, you can't leave that lion there. And I turned to him and said, but it's not a lion. That's a Miko. So we set out that morning for Orem Vale. Myself, 2 dragoons, and a dark knight. By the way, do you know what 2 dragoons are in Orem Vale? That's right, a 30-minute penalty. I'm playing astrology, as I often do, and I feel like I'm the only one that understands the gravity of the situation. True to form, the Dark Knight rushes into that first chamber and is quickly overwhelmed. She yells at me, hey, I'm getting low on health. So I told her to grit and bear it. Frustrated, she started updating her Twitter status. Real professional, right? Then the Marlboros came along and updated all of her statuses. Funny side note for the stream. For the longest time, I thought it was pronounced Marlboro, referring to the cigarettes, because they give you bad breath. Marlboro, if you haven't stopped to actually read it. That was a surprise to me. I think I learned that last month. Afterwards, we headed to the tavern to blow off some steam, and the barkeep, who for some reason let us back in, asked why we all still had our weapons on us. I looked him dead in the eye and I said, Pancakes. He laughed at me. The party laughed. The table laughed. So he killed the table. Good times. Just a side story. So a moth checks into a podiatrist's office, right? And the podiatrist says, what seems to be the problem? God, doc, my wife left me. I lost my job. My kids don't want to talk to me. I just don't know what to do anymore. The podiatrist is stunned. That all sounds horrible. Sounds like you need a counselor, not a podiatrist. Why are you here? The moth looked at him and said, well, I saw that your light was on. So erotic roleplay is a thing in Eorzea. Squeenix knows about it. They know. I feel like they should just make it a mini game, something that you can pay to play. Like weed, just regulate it, tax it, and make a little profit off of it. They can even add a savage mode with pregnancy. You ever seen a mistype in public? Just spilling out into public chat? It's so embarrassing. I mean, what do you even do with that? I say you own it. Just do like a cat, roll out onto the FC wall and strutting. Yeah, I meant to do that. I know I'm hot. I saw one happen a while ago, and it was just this one paragraph. And I'm not divulging. It's just one paragraph, and it left us all hanging in suspense. So I screamed, wait, what happened? You can't leave us like that. It turns out the butler didn't do it this time. It's really Squeenix's fault. Like I said, they know it happens. I just think they put a little too much effort into making everyone so damn cute. Like, the Garleans are supposed to take all of this seriously? And Lalafels. These guys are supposed to go toe-to-toe with you free, right? They can't even measure up to the roller coaster attendant. And I'm not saying that the Rodigen are colorful, but I have seen more threatening palettes in a Baskin-Robbins. I look at Rothgar and I feel that the act of summoning them should involve stacking milk bottles and knocking them over with a baseball. And I am sure that the Bun Boys are capable warriors, but I would like to point out that they sent their women first. For those who haven't seen me before, I started out trolling housing plots with dad jokes. You guys remember that mini game where you hit bid, 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 and the bots always got the house? I tried to chase people off of these bad jokes, but people loved them. And I got so much support that I refined my act and started doing it in casinos. For Gil. Speaking of suspension of disbelief, it is the act of dismissal of common sense in order to better immerse into a work of fiction. Kinda how we casually gloss over the way we kill a monster the size of a skyscraper by hacking at its ankles. But people really get into it. They make clubs, they get married, they roleplay having kids. Again, in the stream, you added weddings, but you didn't add kids, Squeenix. You're making no sense. But I love it. I love Eorzean cultures. There's just so much variety, and the players really do make the game. The villains, on the other hand, they're a little overly simplistic, aren't they? All human-like characters with funny masks. It's like Squeenix went to the Scooby-Doo School of Storytelling. So I normally have a strict policy against breaking the fourth wall, but for tonight, I've decided to poke a couple holes in the interest of amusement. The big reason is that guys tend to assume I'm 8 times hotter than I actually am. Sorry guys, the Famiko cuter. Hotter than reality by far. They also immediately think that I'm into IRL dating. I am not. 2 divorces in the real world have pretty much ruined real marriages for me. So sorry. But the biggest reason that I don't normally break the fourth wall is that my exes are in a lot of these jokes, and I don't really want that kind of hassle. So I'm breaking my rule because someone once said, you should write what you know. My mom once told me that if you listen to a comedian's routine, you'll notice that their power is that they find humor in tragedy. And with my judgment, I should be really good at it. Thanks, Mom. Speaking of judgment, I was grinding out in Redania with an ex. Wasn't an ex at the time. And out of nowhere, she just got trampled by this nut job in black armor on a horse. You know the guy? Lightning everywhere, big sword. So I freaked out, because at the time I had no healing experience. So I get on my link pearl to call for help. Oh my god, my friend is dead. The operator gets back to me and says, okay, calm down, ma'am. Let's make sure. So I stabbed her. Said, okay, now what? I don't really get these quests that make you run all over the continent just to talk to people, you know? I always say this meeting could have been a Moogle mail. I do love grinding jokes, though. They work on many levels. If you think about it, Eorzea is such a cutthroat place, right? I see a nice outfit on someone and I ask myself, who do I have to kill to get that? I heard a real nice song in someone's house once, and I really liked it, so I looked it up, right? And there was just like this whole quest chain. I said to myself, oh, I don't spend that much time at home. I tend to pick on Lawafels a lot. I can't help it. Those jokes are just low-hanging fruit. I do love Lawas, though. They're the nicest people on the fairies. They don't look down on anyone. I was concerned when they added cars to the game. At first I thought the Lawas were in this newfound danger. Mashed popatoes everywhere. But it's really the other way around, isn't it? You see, the little people driving vehicles, they can't see over their dash. It turns out in Eorzea, Papato mashes you. I once saw a dragoon crash into his own health bar. He said, damn it, that's the fourth wall I've hit today. Totally brought my immersion. Suspension of disbelief is a funny thing, isn't it? You kind of have to apply it to Eorzea and the real world if you really think about it. You're a luminous being, piloting a meat mech through a seemingly arbitrary experience. Unless you don't believe in souls, I guess, but even then, if the experiences, it's the experiences that give the moment's value, isn't it? And the perspective determines the values of those experiences. So, the next time experience gets you down, suspend your disbelief, throw on a chicken suit, and fly. I'd like to thank you all for coming out. You've been a great audience. Please spay and neuter your pets and family members.